Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ring Rumble podcast. My name is V, and I am by myself for this one because my dad has not seen the Halloween Havoc, which is what we're going to be recapping today. Overall, it was a decent to good pay-per-view. I was not crazy for it. I think the matches were well done, but I think the finish is what kind of killed a majority of these matches, I would say, in my opinion. Obviously, it's just my opinion. If you like the matches, that's good for you. I mean, that's great. I just I wasn't too crazy about them, and I also didn't predict very well, but I also would say I didn't give it much time when it came to the predictions, which is why the upload was so late, which came out technically today. I'm not really sure when this is coming out. Might just be tonight or the very night that I record this. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Surprisingly, Gigi Dolan appeared for the first time in a while, and she was basically introducing the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view and the matches, the storylines for these matches to come. The first match was shockingly the Femi versus Tony D'Angelo tables, ladders, and scares, aka chairs, match for the North American Championship. I wanted to note here that Mike Rome, the ring announcer, was actually dressed as Beetlejuice, and neither Tony or Oba were dressed up as anything in this match. So this is what I have written down, and that I can go a little more broad with the match. Oh, that was my phone. Sorry. Okay. Tony stopped the ring announcer from finishing his announcement by grabbing the mic to say, "You know the rest, blah, blah, blah," and attacks Oba immediately. The bell rings to begin the match. Immediately into this match, Tony slams Oba into the barricade and breaking it. Tony begins prepping a ladder between the ring and the desk. Oba begins to gather many chairs, beating Tony with said chairs. Oba threw Tony onto a ladder in the corner, and Oba also uppercutted Tony into a table in the corner. Oba uses Oba used a crowbar to apply pressure onto Tony's face, and he did this, I believe, twice. Once Tony managed to escape, he weakly used a chair to attack Oba. Tony gave a belly-to-belly and a spine buster to Oba onto a chair. Oba messed up his throw. The throw he kind of usually does where he throws him, attempts to throw them across the ring. He kind of messed it up, and Tony actually landed kind of awkwardly, and he began grasping his leg. I'm not sure if this was kayfabe or not, but it seems as though it was, because it didn't matter in the end, and you will find out why. Oba ends up zip-tying Tony's hand to the turnbuckle, as he had done this past week on Tuesday. The family ended up coming in and attacking Oba, and Oba basically replied with literally destroying Stax and Luca, and Adriana Rizzo was left in the ring by herself. Confronted by Oba, Oba begins following Adriana slowly, who then grabs a crowbar, which he ends up taking from her. Tony ends up breaking from the zip ties and speared Oba through the ropes onto a ladder that was set up between the ring and announce desk that I mentioned before. Oba gave a clothesline and actually a fall from grace, but Tony actually ended up kicking out. And this was the finish of the match, but all the family come in to attack Oba. Then Tony gave a spine buster to Oba through a table, I think, and wins the match. I gave this match a 3.8. The prediction, my dad and I were both wrong. We really thought that Oba was going to win this one. I didn't really consider the factor of the family, which is a huge mistake on my part, because obviously they were going to come in at some point. Did I think that they were going to be the reason he won? I mean, it's very possible. Obviously, it did happen. But I didn't really like the finish being this way, because, Tony's that kind of guy where he would deny the crowbar that Stax would give him during his matches. He did it with Ilya Dragunov, and he did it with Oba. He wanted to fight fairly, fight like a gentleman, I guess you would say. So the fact that he had the family come in and kind of give him this win or help him with this win, and he took it, I don't know. It just felt like kind of like cheating, I guess, or it felt kind of disingenuous, the win. So I hope Oba does go back for it. I feel like because of the way this ended that he will. So, yeah, it was okay. It was a 3.8 for me. I had it at a 4.0, but first match really sets the tone. So I had to do some. Yeah, I had to go back and change some ratings here. But yeah, it just wasn't. It was a good match, but that finish really killed it. This is not a match, but Lexus King is being interviewed, and he was asked if he found his quarterman yet for the match he has against Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup. He admits he's been struggling, getting ghosted by everyone. He gets why they think badly of him, but all of a sudden you hear, "I'll be your quarterman." Turns out it was William Regal, who says that he appreciates like Lexus being his own man, and despite the fact that he will be fighting William's own son, Charlie, for the cup, he will be his cornerman, which is very, very interesting. And very cool. Nice to see William Regal. Now, this is my favorite match of the night, which was Cora, Jade, and Roxanne Perez versus Stephanie Vaquer and Guilia. Well, Cora, Jade, and Roxanne Perez were dressed up as Dorothy. Both of them were. And Stephanie had a Dia de los Muertos kind of look, and Julia I don't know. She had like spooky makeup, but she looked basically the same. Well, Roxanne was doing very well, keeping up with Stephanie. For a majority of this match, I would say that Roxanne was in there, not really Cora Jade. Cool bridge pin by Stephanie, which Roxanne also copied. Cora Jade, for the most part, her role in this match was kind of trying to cheat the match. By, like, for example, she walked in to stop Guilia, which Vaquer ended up stopping her for both Vaquer and Guilia to give what I remember was, I believe, a crossface, but ended up being rope breaked. Roxanne in the ring. That was the note that I had. Roxanne was in the ring for a majority of this match. Cora and Roxanne cheat by hitting Guilia while the ref was distracted. Both Roxanne and Guilia slapped each other at the same time, knocking both of them out. Cora Jade just keeps cheating, I said. Stephanie gives Meteoras to both women and a dragon screw to Roxanne. Both Stephanie and Julia headbutt Roxanne and Cora. Roxanne ends up giving a suicide dive, and Cora did a coffin drop. Roxanne gave a crossface to Stephanie, and Roxanne also, and then Roxanne, I think, no. This was a mistake here. Okay, Roxanne gave a hurricanrana and Cora gave a swanton bomb. Julia did a very cool move on Roxanne, like a spinning kind of. I don't know what the name of that move is. You'd have to see it, but it was very interesting. It was very cool. Julia gave a big knee and a suplex to Cora. Julia slammed Roxanne from the top rope, and Stephanie Vaquer followed up with a very nice, what looked like a Phoenix splash, and Stephanie Vaquer and Julia ended up winning this match. And the lights go off, and all of a sudden, Zarya, who we mentioned would be appearing in this pay-per-view and had appeared this past Tuesday at the very end of the show, had appeared from above in the crowd, smiling menacingly at the women. I gave this match a 4.2, and the prediction for my dad and I, we were both right. Stephanie Vaquer and Julia would win this match. I am by no means a hater of Cora Jade, okay? I'm just going to say that. But she's not very good. However, I could cut her some slack because, she has been gone for a very long time, so she's bound to have some ring rust. The announcer said that she really didn't, but she did, in my opinion. She just was not doing that great. And especially with the likes of the rest of the people she is in the ring with, she did not shine at all in this match, especially too because they made her the girl to like cut in and cheat for most of the match and also not be in the match very much. So that's kind of how they set her up to be. So I'm not gonna be unfair and say that she's bad, but I think that she definitely is not as sharp as she used to be. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that honestly was the best match of the night. So in a backstage segment earlier in the day, Cedric Alexander speaking to Javon kind of being out of it and thinking to himself, he questions whether or not he should have slapped Nathan Frazier. He shouldn't have. And Cedric says, I wouldn't have slapped him, but he's glad Javon slapped him because otherwise they wouldn't get a chance at Tag Team Gold, which is very true. But I'm going to hope that they don't win because I have a bias towards Frazier and Axiom. So we'll see. Rich Holland versus Andre Chase ambulance match. I had some expectations for this match. Not very high expectations, but some expectations, as an ambulance match has not happened. At least I haven't seen one in a very long time. So I was looking forward to this one. Immediately, Andre Chase attacks Ridge Holland. Not sure why Ridge was trembling in fear at some point. I mean, he is much bigger than Andre. So this match kind of was hard to believe at some points. Ridge shoved Andre into the ambulance, but was prevented from closing it. Andre ends up spraying a fire extinguisher in Ridge's face. Overhead suplex by Ridge on the ramp, that was nasty. Ridge lifts Andre basically like nothing, which is kind of what I figured. I mean, he's like triple, quadruple the size of Andre, in my opinion. Ridge hits Andre with a candlestick. Andre did the Chase U chant with the crowd and gave a crossbody to Ridge. Ridge slams Andre onto his back on ringside, and Ridge strips the padding from ringside. Andre flipped Ridge onto the exposed floor. I think Ridge's greatest enemy was himself throughout this match because I felt like he set himself up for stuff, and that's the only way Andre could prevail. Ridge and Andre are on the announce desk with Andre returning the DDT instead of Ridge doing it. Andre placed Ridge on the gurney, who then falls off and attacks Andre. Ridge takes Andre to the ambulance, and the crowd randomly began cheering whenever a pumpkin was grabbed by a wrestler for some reason. Andre climbs the ambulance and rolls onto Ridge. Ridge is shoved into the ambulance, but he prevents it from closing, poking out Andre's eyes. Ridge gives the DDT to Andre on the floor and shoves Andre into the ambulance, closes the door, and wins this match. Okay. It was decent. I don't think they had good chemistry. That's just me, though. And I felt like, there were some good moments, but very few. It was just kind of sloppy. It was good for what it was, but not spectacular, if that makes sense. I ended up giving this match a rating of a 3.5. And as for the predictions, my dad and I were right. Rich Holland ended up winning this one. So, but that won't be the end of Rich Holland. I should mention that Rich Holland was present in the pre-show. He ended up confronting Bubba Ray, who was, I guess, a host for Halloween Havoc. I'm not quite sure, but he confronted Bubba Ray, and Bubba Ray basically said that that's strike one of being threatened. So, just important to note. Backstage, or in a pre-filmed, I guess, segment, Nathan Frazier apologizes to Axiom for, getting them into this match and being angry all the time, which Axiom says he's used to it. He expects him for who he is, and now they must train for their match against Javon or whomever Nathan gets them into trouble with. Nathan thought Axiom was being condescending, but Axiom basically asked him to just chill out, and he does, and they begin their training. General Manager Ava's asked about the matches coming up Tuesday and the NXT show occurring in November 6th, which a definite match, she said, will occur between Lola Vice and Jada Parker, with a special guest referee, which is an ECW alumni, and I did not catch the name. So just know there's a special guest referee, which is very intriguing for a match between Lola Vice and Jada Parker. I mean, I personally am not crazy about it, so maybe that's just me. Anyways, the fourth match of the night was Kehlani Jordan versus Fatal Influence, which was a gauntlet match that was determined in the pre-show for the match to be a gauntlet, since they landed on Spinach Choice and they weren't able to make their decision as Zarya had shown up at the end of the show. So they determined a gauntlet match, with the order being Jasmine Nix, then JC Jane, then Fallon Henley in the end. Kehlani Jordan must pass each girl to retain her title and pin each one to retain her title, one at a time. She faced Jasmine Nix first, as I said. Kind of mediocre at the start. Not very good chemistry so far. There was a nice perfect plex by Jasmine. Kehlani gives the 450 splash and advances. I kid you not. This occurred very, very fast. Jasmine basically was there for, I think, like 3 minutes or less. JC Jane is next to fight Kehlani. She did a nice twisting splash kind of move by Kehlani over the top rope. But it also looked like she hit her face against the apron while she did that move. Big knee by JC. Kehlani eliminates JC. I will be honest, I was not paying attention from when she attacked or beat JC. I don't know what she did to do that. However, JC ends up hitting Kehlani after the loss, and Fallon attempted to take advantage as she was the final competitor, but Kehlani kicked out. I noted that Fallon screams a lot. I don't know, like when she wrestles, I thought it was JC because I kind of seen them, they wrestle together. But no, Fallon, she screams a whole bunch when she's wrestling people. There's a cool reversal by Kehlani. I didn't really know what that was. A double clothesline by both women, and they ended up falling down at the same time. Cool flip move by Fallon from the second rope. I thought, Fallon, out of all the members of the Fatal Influence, is the most talented in my opinion. And Kehlani connects her finisher, but the referee was distracted by Jasmine Nix, and Kehlani attempted the 450 this time, but Fallon got her knees up, and she gave her finisher, which is like a Claymore-looking kind of kick thing, and Fallon Henley wins this match. She is the new Women's North American Champion, which is insane. I was not expecting that, as my prediction was that Kehlani was going to retain. However, obviously the circumstances were a little bit different. It was kind of hard to predict, as I didn't know it was going to be a gauntlet match until, obviously the pay-per-view had started, or the pre-show of the pay-per-view. So, in those terms, it makes it more believable, because I honestly thought they were just going to choose one girl. So, yeah. So it changes things a little bit, but yeah, I was still wrong. Fallon, she grabbed the mic and said, "Statement made," and the lights black out again, and Zarya appears behind the Fatal Influence. She beat all of them up and gave the F5 to one of the girls, which is very cool. I love that ending. I thought that was very great, and I'm really excited to see what she does in NXT. I mean, she shows up for the first time in NXT, the normal weekly shows, this coming week. So I'm very interested to see what's going on with that. I did give this match a 3.3. It was the lowest rating of the night. I did not like it. I don't think they had very good chemistry with each other. I think the best that anyone did was honestly Fallon Henley. I mean, Kehlani's very talented. I just don't think that this was her match. She did not do that great. I mean, obviously she did some things here and there. I did not really like Jasmine Nix's ability. Neither JC Jane's. I'm sure they're good wrestlers, but I just didn't like the examples of what they did in their matches. And it kind of, the record shows there, they did not last very long in their portions of the match. So yeah, not my favorite. But yeah. All right, continuing on. The family, the D'Angelo family, congratulate Tony D'Angelo and reminisce the match that he just had. Tony appears to be in a lot of pain, I'm gonna be honest. He shouts out Rizzo, and Adriana is asked if she knows who attacked her, and she says she does, and she's coming after her on Tuesday. Now, I'm suspicious because they didn't specifically name drop who it was. So part of me kind of feels like, what if Adriana makes a mistake and picks the wrong girl? Obviously, we know it's Nikita Lyons that did it, but maybe there's a mistake. I'm not really sure why she didn't explicitly say her name, so I have no idea. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. Rich Holland appears to warn everyone that he will wreak more havoc. Bubba Ray was confronted by Ridge earlier, as I said in the pre-show. Bubba warns Ridge not to threaten anyone. Again, it's been twice now, so he says, strike two. Don't do it again. While Booker and Vic were announcing the match to come, which is the main event between Trick Williams and Ethan Page, Tatum Paxley escaped the box right behind Booker. This was the box she was placed in by Wendy Chu when she was put in the sleeper hold this past Tuesday. Ava Raine comes out to tell Tatum that she must go to medical. Tatum asked for a match against Wendy, and Ava says she's got it for Tuesday. But Tatum suggests they make things more interesting, and next to her was the Halloween Havoc wheel. So she spins the wheel, landing on a casket match, and that will take place on Tuesday. Okay, so now it's the main event. Ethan Page versus Trick Williams Devil's Playground match. This means that falls count anywhere and anything counts. You can use a weapon or whatever you want. Anywhere, the whole arena, anything. For the NXT Championship. Immediately, Ethan jumps Trick. This is kind of the theme here, with people immediately jumping each other. Ethan threatens Trick with a chair, but Trick also has a chair. Trick beats Ethan out of the ring. Ethan tells... Oh, yeah, this was funny. Vic, the play-by-play commentator, Ethan basically tells him that he looks like a dumbass with his pumpkin-themed suit. Trick fights throughout the arena. They basically start going into the crowd. And throughout that, I didn't really know anything, but throughout that, they were fighting with a trash can. But when they came back towards ringside, Ethan applied a chair onto Trick's head and slammed him into the post, followed by a DDT on the chair on ringside. Ethan side slammed Trick onto a chair, and Trick lands the Trick shot, surprisingly. But this was weird, okay? So there's no there's no rope breaks, okay? So no DQ, basically. But for some reason, after the Trick shot, Ethan was pinned, and on 3, he kind of like grabbed the rope, but the ref was basically saying like, oh, he kicked out, but that's not quite what happened. But obviously, they want the match to keep going. Obviously, Ethan made a mistake. The announcers were just saying that, the ref made a mistake and kind of saved Ethan. It was just kind of a weird thing. But immediately after, Ethan grabs a bag of nuts and bolts and pours it onto the mat. Trick gave a jumping neck breaker to Ethan onto the nuts and bolts. Trick slams face first into the stairs, and that's when Trick begins to spit blood from his mouth, making Ethan very happy, as he has referenced this past Tuesday that he wants to make Trick bleed because he's never really bled before. Okay, so Ethan sets up these stairs that he hit Trick with to give an ego's edge to Trick from them onto the commentary desk, which he does. Medical ended up checking on Trick, but he rejects the help and starts crawling to the ring. Ethan slams Trick really nastily on top of the stairs inside the ring. Trick moves out of the way from Ethan attempting to hit him with the stairs, and Trick gives the rock bottom basically to Ethan onto the steps. Ethan low blows Trick to prevent being hit with the steps, and Trick does the same, low blowing Ethan. Ethan got hit with the steps though, and Trick gives Trick shot, and he retains the title. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if it's something to do with Trick Williams' finisher, but there's something about it that feels very underwhelming when he executes it, like because it's so fast paced. I don't know, there's like really no build up. And it kind of feels like, oh, like, that's it. I mean, it's over. I don't know if it's just me. There's nothing against Trick Williams. I love Trick Williams. He's, like, one of the greatest right now. But there's something about it. I don't know. I've just noticed that in the theme. Like, the Carmelo Hayes match, for example, at Stand and Deliver. When he gave the Trick shot, it was just super underwhelming. I like, the match just ended so abruptly. And it's just kind of... doesn't really give you a sense of closure, I guess. I feel like he needs to do it twice, which is actually funny because that goes against my code. I have complained about Cody Rhodes having to do the crossroads often. So, I don't know. There's just something about it. But, Trick ends up winning, and I was wrong. I really thought that Ethan was going to win, and so did my dad, so we were wrong there. But while Trick was celebrating, Rich Holland came in and started to attack Trick Williams. Ethan Page got upset, grabbing Rich, and basically started yelling at him, but then he said, "Show me how it's done." And so Ridge does his DDT to Trick. Both men are laughing at Trick's demise. Mostly Ethan, though. Ethan was about to do Ego's Edge when Bubba Ray came in to beat up both men, taking them out. Basically, strike 3, which Bubba was basically insinuating throughout this pay-per-view. And that's basically how the show ends. I gave this match a 3.8. I didn't think it was spectacular. There was definitely cool moments. They gave a lot into this match, but that finish was just not satisfying at all. And that weird mess up with the kick out was just very strange. So yeah, overall, the females match, the Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez versus Stephanie Vaquer and Guilia was the best match. Thought it was very great. I did give tied scores to the Ethan Page, Trick Williams, and the Oba Femi and Tony D'Angelo, which when I compare the two, I don't really know if that's the case, but that's just how I rated it. Yeah, and then after that would be the ambulance match, and then following that would be the Kehlani Jordan match. There's nothing against any of these wrestlers. It's just purely my opinion. Overall, decent pay-per-view. I feel like the star of the show, though, is definitely Zarya making her debut. So yeah, I mean, new champion, which is great. Was in Fallon Henley. I think she deserves it. I definitely enjoyed her time when she was with the Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. I thought she was the greatest thing to come out of that group, honestly. I think she's very talented. She's one of my favorite females on the NXT roster. I'm not quite sure about her move with the Fatal Influence, but obviously it's benefiting her to some degree because they've been having a lot of pretty good matches, or at least are more in the spotlight, I guess you would say. But yeah, so that's basically it. Let me know what you guys thought about the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view. Do you disagree with my ratings? Who did you predict would win these matches? And yeah, just let me know. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you later this week. So bye-bye.